Good afternoon. I'd like to start with a question. Can you please raise your hands if you've ever had a supernatural prediction about your life? Maybe a horoscope, a tarot reading, maybe even a small fortune cookie that felt strangely accurate. Well, that seems like a lot of us. This has also happened to me. Earlier this year, my friend bought a pack of tarot cards. Of course, I got super excited and asked her to do readings on all of us. I remember vividly that when she did predictions on our friend group, what came up as the future card was something called a change in position. Super ominous and mysterious, am I right? Well, as a teenager, I went home and began to overthink. But seriously, what could this possibly mean? What change? Which position? And from that moment onwards, I noticed everything. I remember sitting at lunch, wondering if this was the change in position. It was super exhausting, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Here, I was letting those 4 words shape who I was. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. When we start letting other people's words decide who we are and what we do, we slowly stop deciding for ourselves. Some of you in the audience might have experienced something similar already, but for those of you who haven't, don't worry, I came prepared. So today I have with me a pack of tarot cards. And usually the simplest way to do a reading would be to choose 1 card for the past, 1 card for the present, and 1 card for the future. I've asked my friend to choose 3 cards for me. Thank you very much. And referring to this tarot cheat sheet, since I am not an experienced tarot reader, the past card was the 10th of Wands, and that talks about stress, exhaustion, and too many burdens. The present card was the 6 of Swords, and that talks about a necessary transition, relocation, and moving. And the last card, the most important one, the future card, was the 8 of Swords, which was, let me find that, self-imposed restrictions, isolation, and imprisonment. Well, from those 3, maybe the burden. Did any of them feel like they resonated with you a little bit? Maybe the burden from the past? Not the imprisonment in the future? And, well, as humans, there's always bias. Whether it's something that happened in your childhood, earlier this week, or maybe just half an hour ago, can shape the decisions you make and the reactions you have to tarot readings. At some point in our lives, we've all let our past experiences frame our thinking and limit our potential. If we let simple statements influence our life, doesn't that make us inauthentic to who we are? If we let simple statements change our way of thinking, doesn't that push away any form of creative or innovative expression we've worked so hard to develop? If we let simple statements model the next paths of our lives, will we ever be happy? Going back to my demonstration just now, we can reflect on how some parts of those predictions could be matched to elements of our own lives. For example, the past card, which talks about burden, maybe a little bit of stress. As a kid, I grew up with a lot of self-expectations. I felt like I needed to earn the top marks in every test. I needed to ace every activity I attended. Well, if these fake predictions could be matched to personal truths, it's easy to see how we can start trusting these predictions. Now, what's actually happening here isn't magic. It's psychology. Let me introduce you to a psychological phenomenon called the Barnum effect. The name the Barnum effect comes from the circus showman P.T. Barnum, who believed that there was something for everyone. And in many ways, the Barnum effect works the exact same way. When we are given a simple, generic statement, our brains instinctively claim it as one describing us, even though they could apply to anyone in the room. Rooted in us is an urge to show that we're important. We want to be confident all the time. We want to be our ideal selves, that perfect, flawless picture of a person. And that's only natural. But it also makes us gullible in thinking that a statement is a direct reflection of us. We want someone to tell us what to do, to lighten the burden of always knowing what to do. This is especially exploited by people who give paranormal predictions, convincing us they have these special skills to look into our inner souls or determine what the future holds. And these can come in statements like, you have an intense desire to get people to like and accept you. You are an independent thinker who takes pride in doing things differently. Or you can be overly critical on yourself. Let me show you an example of how this can happen in real life. In 1948, a psychologist, Bertram Forer, had his students do a personality test. When the students were asked to rate the accuracy, they rated it a 4.26 out of 5. And guess what? All of the students were given the same 13-sentence personality description taken from a newspaper column. This highlights how we have a cognitive tendency to accept universal statements as ones describing us, especially when presented in a positive and authoritative manner. The core of this phenomenon are two things: subjective validation and selective memory. Subjective validation is like this picture. What do you think is happening here? The drop of water is falling onto the larger body of water underneath, right? Well, what's happening here is your minds are filling in the gaps, making what you see or what you want to see align with what you already know. This is the underlying mechanism of the Barnum effect. We instinctively search our own experiences to make these statements feel personal and true. This stems from confirmation bias, where we remember or emphasize evidence that supports our existing beliefs while forgetting those that don't. Reinforcing this is what we call selective memory. We often remember the details that fit our lives, while quietly, conveniently, forgetting those that just don't fit. For example, when you go and see a psychic, you often remember the one prediction that came true, whilst forgetting many that didn't. This kind of reinforces your belief in the psychic's powers and makes you go back wanting for more predictions. This is why there's danger in waiting for fate. The danger isn't in getting these tarot readings or horoscope readings. It is when we stop questioning them. It is when we let them change our confidence, our choices, and our sense of identity. It is when we let them determine our future. As humans, we crave certainty. It is what we yearn for as biological creatures. We are built for survival, and certainty gives us something essential: a sense of safety, stability, and control. These feelings signal to our brains that we're secure. And since security supports survival, we become drawn to anything that offers certainty and control. Take a second and think. How do you feel when you're about to try something new? Maybe excited, maybe nervous, anxious, maybe scared. And don't you feel like these feelings are kind of holding you back from trying that very thing you've been dreaming of doing? There's a chain of uncertainty weighing us down. It is easy to conform to what society expects, to follow what others say, and to not feel the weight and pressure of making your own decisions. It feels good to belong in the crowd, to not stand out, to be like everybody else. But every prediction we let define us is like a box. At first, it feels familiar, safe, comfortable, until one day we realize that we can't move anywhere else. Sooner or later, these few chains wrapped around you collect to become like a mountain of chains. The longer you don't move under them, the heavier they are. Stepping out of your comfort zone is like a muscle. At first, you might feel like this box has everything you might ever need: validation, good memories of the past, maybe even control or power, like the power to determine what happens. It feels scary to step out of that box, to let go of that control. But the longer you don't move under those chains, or the longer you remain where you feel the most at ease, the more doing something you're uncomfortable with or letting uncertainty take the wheel becomes like an impossible task. So, let's do another tarot reading. Now that we've learned about the psychology behind it, maybe we can see it as not a binding prediction, but as a source of motivation instead. I'm going to ask another one of my friends to choose just one card this time. Okay. The card that she chose was the Lovers. Ooh. And what this means is partnership, deep love, a choice, the strength of two together. Now, what it might feel like would be that this tarot card is signaling that you have the expectation to find a partner. You might feel, maybe in your 30s, you might be feeling pressured to get married, to have grandchildren. Maybe your family expects that. But instead, maybe we can view it as encouragement. Maybe we can view it as, well, building more deep relationships, putting your trust in others, taking the time to actually get to know someone. As you can see, we really can determine our future. These tarot readings are just for fun, to spice up your life, but they don't have to define us. Don't let this trap you in passivity. What comes after this is all up to you. The future is something we choose for ourselves. I'd like to leave you with a quote that means a lot to me. Some of the most beautiful chapters in our lives won't have a title until much later. It tells you to embrace the uncertainty, to step out of your comfort zone, and to explore more about the world and yourself. Today, we're only in the first few chapters of our lives. We don't know what happens next. What's stopping you from forming that next beautiful chapter is the little devil of hesitation sitting right on your shoulder. We need to remember that uncertainty is okay. Well, actually, it is better than okay, because this is how we grow, and this is how we can find true happiness. What could the future bring? The fact that there are endless possibilities is the best part. So, stop waiting for fate. Start creating it. Because the moment you do, it'll be fate that has to catch up to you. Thank you.